Okay guys, a little bit of an update on my 71 Triumph Bonneville. Yeah, I didn't mean to skip so much, but I kind of got in a groove and thought I was recording, but then realized I wasn't recording. So yeah, so you'll notice the whole back end is taken off. I've got the forks just about ready to pop off here. I've got the caps off and everything like this, right? So I'm gonna take the front forks off. The plan is to actually just clean the heck out of the frame there. I'm gonna use the David Freiberger technique and use some Comet and just scrub the heck out of this bad boy because it's got years and years of oil. It's actually got layers of oil. So some 1950s oil, 1960s, well not 50s, 1970s oil, 1980s oil, and then some oil I spilled recently. I forgot to drain the frame, and so it looks like there's a crime scene in my garage. So yeah, that's kitty litter, and I didn't have enough, so I'm gonna have to kitty litter the rest of that area. But yeah, so and the other side of this too is I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna take out the engine because the engine needs new gaskets pretty much all over, and I want to give it a once over. So I went to take it out, and you'll notice there's not a lot of videos on YouTube about how to take out a Triumph engine. Let me tell you the $1 million idea I had that got it out, because I literally wrestled with this thing, and this thing's a beast. It weighs a ton. The idea that I had to get this thing out was actually if you remove the rear valve cover, the one that's actually above the carbs aren't there right now, but they would be here, right? Take the carbs off, obviously, take the exhaust off, obviously. But then if you take this valve cover off right here, this valve cover is held in place by 5 bolts on top and 3 bolts on bottom, like so. You get that valve cover off and it buys you another, say 3 or 4, probably 3 inches of clearance. And if you actually tilt the engine back, you'll see that right there, that bottom part of the spine right there. That's the obstruction that your valve cover hits. But once you remove it, you have enough room to clear that. And then here's the front mount on the engine just here. You can actually tilt that back enough to clear the mount on the frame itself, which is just there. And the engine will tilt back and you can clear that and then turn it and lift it out. I actually straddled the bike and lifted it out that way. It's probably the easiest way to get a hold of it. But this thing is just a beast. So yeah, it's probably, I don't even know that it's better with 2 people. It's just a matter of wrestling with this sucker. So I took it out. I'm gonna change all the gaskets. That'll be the next step on this project. But I'll show that. I'll actually film that. So I bought a gasket set. I actually took the carbs and disassembled them. Let me show you over here. So the carbs were in terrible shape. Actually, both were seized. You can see some of the remaining calcium scale right there on the inside, and there's some on the float like this. But yeah, they were so calcified, they were actually seized, and the gas reservoir, now I'm drawing a blank what these are called. It's float bowls, the float bowls rather, excuse me, were completely full of it, like completely full of sediment. So clearly this has been sitting outside for an extended period of time. But disassembled them, and actually, because it's so darn old, I actually broke some of it, so I have to replace that. But I've already hit up Lowbrow Customs for rebuild kits. So gonna replace all the gaskets, gonna replace the floats. I got the full rebuild kit, so I'm gonna replace the floats as well. New jets, new needles, everything, top to bottom basically, so that the carbs run really well again. These are original Amel 930s. So yeah, those are going back on. I've got the headers off, and I don't know if you remember from earlier in the videos, there was really old weathered fiberglass wrap for this. I actually ordered some new lava wraps, some like so. This is gonna go on shortly. I think I'm just gonna run the open headers like this. I know people talk about back pressure and blah, 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 but actually I think it'll be just fine, and I like the original lines to it. So yeah, I'm gonna keep that on there for right now. But yeah, looking forward to getting that frame really cleaned. I'm actually gonna repaint everything. So it's all original paint, so I'm gonna tear that bad boy apart and repaint it. But stay tuned for the next steps.